So, if manifestation actually was about writing things down, then everybody who's ever owned a notebook would be rich, healed, and healthy, you know? But that's clearly not the case. So, in this video, we're going to talk about how manifestation actually works and how you can make your life a lot easier and actually change your life without having to do all these wild journaling rituals. So all this to say, not the journaling rituals are bad, but there can be a lot of cases where you do all of them where you still have no results and you're still not manifesting anything. So that's what this video is going to go into detail about. Okay, so getting right into it. So the main point is that your brain will filter your reality based on your beliefs as a person. Okay, so the reticular activating system, which is a network in the brain, that's what filters your entire experience and your reality based on your beliefs. So for example, right, if you believe inside for some reason that you believe that you're an unlucky person, and things just rarely work out for you, then your brain is going to look up for more experiences where things don't work out for you, like in your day. Like, you'll just see more experiences where, like, oh, I missed the bus, I guess I'm late, nothing ever works out for me, I can't be on time. You can have a negative spiral like that. Like, it's all subjective. Your reality is subjective and everything is in your perception. Your perception is largely built by your beliefs, right? So it all just depends on what you believe. So for example, two people, they could spend the whole day together and they could still have completely different experiences. So two people, if they could both miss the bus, and one person with a negative belief about themselves, they could be like, oh, I'm so unlucky, I'm always late, this always sucks, I'm so bad at being on time, I'm bad at my job, blah, blah, blah. The other person, they could just believe that, maybe they strongly believe and trust that everything works out for a reason, and they know that it's okay, it was meant to be, everything will be fine. There was probably a reason that I wasn't meant to take that specific bus today, and it's okay. Or maybe they don't even think about it that much. They just accept what is and they move on because they know that everything always works out in their favor. So as you can see, it all just depends on your perspective, right? For example, there was one time this is coming from someone who's manifested a lot of things and who's also not managed to manifest some things. So for example, all you have to do, right? The main point is to just, you have to believe that you have something. You just have to act like you already have the thing that you want, okay? So just a very simple example, okay? I really wanted to go to this concert of this artist whose concert tickets were selling for thousands of pounds, okay? It was getting extremely expensive and people were struggling to get tickets. And this concert was like a year and a half in advance, okay? And bear in mind, at the time, I didn't really have a job. I had never really been to a concert before. So my parents weren't really for me going to the concert. So there were a lot of things in the way. And genuinely, realistically, it didn't seem like it was happening. However, in my head, I was already convinced that I was going to go. Okay, I was convinced that I'm going to go to this concert. Of course, I'm going to go to this concert. Why wouldn't I go to this concert? So the idea is to behave like someone who was already going to the concert. So you know what I did? One time when I was out with my friends, we went to this really nice vintage market and I saw that they were selling these jackets it was basically merch of this artist, right? And I bought the jacket, even though it was really expensive. I bought the jacket and I said, I'm gonna wear it to the concert. I'm buying it for the concert. Even though I had no tickets, I did not have any money at the time. I had no plans of going. I didn't know where I was gonna be a year and a half in advance, right? So yeah, I bought the jacket anyway and I kept it. And I was all like, yeah, of course I'm going to go. I'm going to wear the jacket. It's for the concert. That was my idea. And obviously at that time, it was like a fun little joke. And I was like, yeah, I have a new jacket. But guess what? Fast forward a year and a half. Obviously, the ticket prices haven't gotten any cheaper. I have a job now, which is something. So I've made progress. I have a job. Things have changed. And obviously, I still haven't found tickets. But the week before the show, right? This is in one of the biggest venues. This is in London. So a week before one of the shows, a friend of mine, her sister actually is unable to make it to the show. So she has one spare ticket and she just advertises it on on just the group chats and stuff, and I see that, oh, they're selling a ticket. And this is the best part. Like I said, tickets were going for thousands of pounds. No one was really selling at face value just because of the sheer demand for those tickets. And finally, this girl ends up selling her ticket for face value. So not only did I get these really good seats, I it was sold to me at face value by someone I knew. You know, this was in the space where people were getting scammed because they were so desperate for tickets, and they would just, buy the tickets from whoever out of desperation. So I got so lucky. Not only were the tickets being sold to me in face value, they were really good seats, and it was from someone I knew. So I could definitely trust them, at least not to scam me. So this is my idea. I just believed and behaved as someone who was definitely going to get this thing. And obviously, I'm taking an example of a concert because it's unlikely that you're going to have any kind of limiting belief about this, You just, for example, if you want to, I don't know, for example, run a marathon, okay? You have to just, at this point, you have to tell yourself, I am a marathon runner. This is who I am. It's part of my identity. And everything you do, you just need to pretend like you're a marathon runner. Like if, for example, you're going about your day to day, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to run out the door now. Should I get breakfast or not? Okay. And you should be thinking, well, would a marathon runner actually skip breakfast? Probably not, because they know that they have to do well on their runs. And to do well on their runs, they need to fuel. They can't run without fuel. So really, they would do the healthy thing and they would have breakfast, you know? So that's the main idea. You just have to believe that you already have it, that there's no question about it. You are going to be this person, you are going to get that job, you are going to be, I don't know, in that relationship, you are going to make X amount of money, you will get to experience said event, It's just all in your head, and you have to believe that you deserve it to even get it, which is why you can do all the journaling in the world and it could still just not come true. And again, I have nothing against journals. I journal, like manifest and journal a lot, but I have had so many things come true just because in my head I was already convinced it was going to happen. There was no doubt about it. However, I've also had things not come true because as much as I journaled about it, I picked the right date. I did it on 11/11 day, and it was on a full moon or whatever. I did all of that. It wouldn't matter because a part of me still felt like I didn't deserve it, or I wasn't good enough for it, So think about it. If you're out here manifesting your dream job, but you've maybe been rejected from it before, if a part of you still thinks, oh, I'm always, I'm always halfway there, but never good enough, or I'm never gonna get it because some things just don't work out for me. Things always work out, like nearly work out for me, but not so much. So if these are the things you believe about yourself, if you believe that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, you're not capable enough, then those things aren't going to happen. It's all in your head. You just have to literally convince yourself that, yeah, I'm going to get it. I am someone who has the dream job. I am someone who makes X amount of money. I am a lucky person, And this isn't that hard to do. Obviously, you can just look at your life easily and be like, no, I'm unlucky. Nothing ever works out for me. But trust me, this is again all about beliefs. Like you have to believe that you're lucky to even start to retrospect on your life and think about all the times things worked out. Things worked out so perfectly. For example, let's take the late bus example. That happened to me. One time I missed my bus and I missed my train, and I end up at the station, and it turns out the usual station that I take my train from, it's been shut down. And I'm getting at this point severely, insanely late, and I'm just like, oh, this sucks. This is horrible. And I go to a different station, and because of that, I end up seeing someone who I work with. We'd never spoken before, but I see her, and I was surprised that she lived at this part of town. And now I made a new friend, and we're really, really close. So that's the thing. I never would have spoken to her at work that day if I hadn't seen her on my commute, where I was late, where things hadn't gone according to plan, where things hadn't, gone as I was expecting or as I'd wanted, So this is just all to show that everything is in how you spin it. You could either see that day as like, oh, I got so late. I got so, my supervisor wasn't too happy with me. Or you could see that as this was the day I gained a friend because I was late and I ended up in the wrong place or whatever. I ended up making a new friend. So really, without this, you couldn't have made a new friend. This is my point. It's all in your perspective. If you see yourself to be a lucky person, if you believe that you're like just lucky and smart and rich or whatever, then those are the kind of experiences that you'll draw into your life. Like, you have to believe that you're rich to even have money come towards you, or have like the job opportunities that give you a certain amount of money. You have to believe that you're smart and that you deserve it and you're good enough to get into that job or like the university course that you want, you know? So you don't exactly need a notebook. The notebook obviously helps if it helps you rewire the way you feel about yourself, but otherwise you don't really need the notebook. This is what I mean. It's all in your head. You just have to convince yourself, yes, I'm a runner. Yes, I'm a millionaire. Yes, I am a YouTuber. Yes, I am a straight A student. Whatever it is, you just have to decide in your head that this is who I am. And you just have to convince yourself, so unconditionally, just be like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I have my dream job? Why wouldn't I make this amount of money? Because everything always works out for me. It's all in your mindset. And honestly, no one is stopping you from believing anything about you. There might be people who are trying to humble you, but you cannot let them get in your way. That is a different conversation. But yeah, this is the point. It's all in your head. Your life becomes what you decide for it to be. You know, if you tell yourself you're lucky, then you will be lucky. If you tell yourself you're unlucky, your brain will make it a point to only literally filter your reality to the point where you only see the unlucky things. You see, oh, I'm late, my supervisor's mad, I never get what I want, you know, all of that. And just so many more examples, like just with concerts, only because it's so easy for me to believe. Like, there's not much resistance or like, I guess, sense of inadequacy there. But so many times I love going to concerts. So many times they're like the most very hard to get tickets. Like, so many concerts I've been, I wouldn't get tickets during the pre-sale and I'd be like, no, it's fine. I'll still go. I'll still make it. I'll still make it. And I always do. Like, I literally, like, even if it's like 8-9 months in advance, like, I will live my life as though I'm going, you know? Like, I'll still be going around being like, oh, I can't do X activity then because I'll be going to this concert, you know? And I'll start buying like maybe merch and I'll start planning my outfits in my head. You just have to believe that it's going to happen regardless. Like, you don't have to think about the why. All you have to decide is the outcome. You're saying, I'm going to go to this thing. I'm going to make X amount of money. I'm going to get this job. It doesn't matter so much how, because once you even decide to do, like, maybe once you decide that you're going to get said job, you're going to start behaving like someone who has that job. That's the thing, you know? You'll start you'll start putting more effort in. You will start working harder. Everything will start to fall in place because in your brain you already believe that you're going to get it. So of course your actions are going to follow your beliefs. Your experiences are going to follow your beliefs, okay? It all comes down to your beliefs, and you are the only person who can rewrite that. It is all up to you, and it is all in your head. So yeah, hope that was helpful. This is all the reasons why you don't, all of the journaling in the world might not necessarily help you manifest things unless you change your mind about it, okay? It is literally all in your head, and you can do all the affirmations you want, but if you don't believe in your head that you deserve something, and if you believe that you deserve something and that you are definitely going to get it without a shadow of doubt, then there's something else that can really help you. You have to believe that. Like, you have to strongly believe. Like, you just have to convince yourself. Just tell yourself every day, every time you think, oh, I'm not going to get it, to be like, no. But then, you know, I'm the person who everything always works out for. Even though you might have a bunch of evidence in your head for all the times, like, no, things never work out for me. You have to be like, no. Of course it's going to work out, because for me, everything always works out. So really how I would do it is by every time you think a negative thought, I would literally say, no, that's not exactly true. You know, I would just convince myself, be like, no, that's not true, because everything always works out to me. You don't have to worry about it. If you keep checking your email for this job interview invite, you have to tell yourself, no, you're not going to keep looking for it, because the more you look for it, the further it gets away from you. You know, the more you attach to something, the further it gets away from you. You just have to trust that it's going to work out for you, and you have to let it go. Stop looking at your email again and again. Stop seeing if they texted. Just accept that it's done and move on. I hope that was helpful.